personally have never experienced that in my whole football career of losing so many guys, but I would say I'm handling it well, and the rest of the team is too, which is a big part of what we're trying to do here. And especially with the backfield, sometimes Matt's not even a quarterback. Sometimes he's a wide receiver. Sometimes Matt has to come off the field because of like blood or something, and then we have our third string running back and fourth string sometimes. Maybe we have someone and we don't have, like we have our second string, but not the third string.
I'd say it was a good example of Ethan Labby. I thought he had like a crazy game. He just jumped in from running back. He's the third running back. Jumped in, had an amazing game, and offensively and defensively. And then I believe Tommy, who was probably his first time actually getting in some varsity reps, and DJ. So they got some good reps in. They did their job. Obviously, they could do stuff better, but it was just a good learning experience and being the next guy up.
The effort's always 100% from these kids. They don't expect it, and they come in. And usually you come in scared, but once the first hit happens, all the fears go away, and they're not the best knowing where to go and the moves and stuff, but they try 100% all the time in all game. So I really appreciate these guys stepping up.
We were thinking the same thing against Winnicott. They had given up barely any points throughout the whole season. Their defense seemed to be really killer, and we were definitely preparing for it. But, as we saw in the Winnicott game, we were still able to use our offense and still be a threat out there and, be a weapon on the offensive side of the ball. So for Bedford, I'm definitely worried. I'm not saying they're the same team as Winnicott. They're very, very different teams.
A lot of speed. But watching the defensive line, how aggressive they are, and at the linebacker positions, and that's really what it is when you see these really good defenses. They're very fast and they're very aggressive. And then even watching some of their defensive backs, the guys playing safety, they're coming flying down the field there. And then when they get to the ball, they're wrapping guys up and driving them back, and they're just very physical. So, I think that's going to be something that's going to be really, really challenging for us to try to meet. And then a team again that's got pretty decent numbers. So, we're going to be sitting in a spot where we're going to play the same 11 on offense and probably the same 11 on defense and probably the same 11 on special teams. So, hopefully our guys are getting in football shape from a conditioning standpoint. And, it's going to be tough. I think they have at least 3 shutouts, so we'll see what we have Saturday.
I'd say, defensively and offensively, so we're going to work on both aspects of that game and just take care of business one game at a time, especially meaning this game means a lot to us right now.
I would say, their defense is really impressive in what they've been able to do, but at the same time, we're going in there playing our game, and I think that overall our team will match up well to Bedford, how their team is laid out and their offensive scheme and defensive scheme. But at the same time, it's learn about their team, learn what they're strong at, learn what they're weak at, and then take advantage of those strengths and weaknesses and go out there and battle.
I'm definitely worried about their defense. I'm definitely worried. They're a great team. But I think that all of us are very focused, and hopefully we're going to get a few more offensive guys back this week. And, coming off of a loss from Londonderry, everyone's very motivated having such a low score when we're usually used to being the ones putting the points up on the board, I think everyone this week is really dialed in and ready to just have another win and get back on that streak that we've been looking to have.
Not usually. I'm not really worried about their defense because we have some amazing offensive players who can move the ball. But usually with their team, we always focus on our defense and how we're supposed to stop their offense, because our defense can make, turnovers are the biggest part of a game. You can lose a game by 10 turnovers and win a game with turnovers. So I really say looking at our defense, it's more important than trying to depict theirs.
Santa Suazo for Amaral, incomplete. Defensed out there by... Snacks Sheridan on the tackle of Santa Suazo.
Very athletic up front. They were playing I give props to their coaches because the way they were moving to the gaps and the little trick plays on the line, it really got me and Rocco confused, but we kind of, towards the end, kind of figured out what our mans are and where to block.
I think the further we go through the season, the harder it is for us to run on teams. I mean, everybody knows that we are a run team. We run the ball hard. We run up the middle. We try to get the edge, but we're a lot like, where our O-line is good, so we want to use that to our advantage. So I think the more film that comes out on us and the more we kind of reveal of what we have for our schemes, the more people or the more teams start to, formulate a better defense. And to go up against such a defensive power like Bedford is, I think it was definitely a challenge. I mean, clearly it was a challenge for us.
I would say it was a mix of like how injured we were, and then just having them to have to key on the one player that's going to be the biggest threat. So I know for most of the time, for as far as reading is they would sit there, and so Matt would always have to kind of give the ball away, and so they knew since we were on like the third string running back, and he was still really good, came out there and performed really well, but I think their game plan was to shut Matt down and then let someone else try and generate the yardage instead of giving it to the big player.
There's a flag down at the 39-yard line. Sphere for the Bulldogs, touchdown.
My rushing wasn't like as high as it was before in the other games because they were like, I feel like they were spying me with like one of their linebackers. So like, if I was gonna pull on one of them, they'd already have a linebacker just waiting for me to do it. So that's why when Ethan going up the middle like he was getting open because their linebacker would bite on like the fake and he'd get that open lane with the cutback. So it ended up, doesn't even matter. So we just get the yards and get the win.
My thought process was any opportunity I'm given to play, I'm going to try to take advantage of, use the most of, prove myself. And I got as many reps as I could. I was focused on like next man up mentality, as Coach Trish likes to practice a lot and spread around the reps and everything, because you never know when you truly will be the next man up. And when I was there too, I was just focused on staying healthy.
Yes, sir!
Definitely, especially for the fact we're missing two guys that played over him, and him being the third guy and playing as good, if not even better than our other two, it's huge.
Now that we're down to our third string and he's still putting up numbers for a varsity starter, it's amazing. And that kid's a great kid to be running the ball too. But I thought that would, after those two went down, we would fall short of a running back. But this kid just shows that, like, it's not the case. We have 3 star running backs on our team now.
We definitely knew he would be promising when he transferred in here. I think it was my sophomore year, and so we've always kind of been like waiting to see him play. But the injuries he's had with his back and his arm, we didn't really see that much of him. But now that he finally got his opportunity to go out there and play, like, he's going to get the recognition he deserves, and he's going to get more playing time because he showed what he can do, and that's really big for us to know that we can count on another guy to be out there with us.
I've been really rooting for that kid. He's not the most vocal kid too as well. He's kind of reserved, like whatever. I mean, he's always there for whatever coach needs to do, but he's never been the guy to really put himself out there and try and get in the spotlight.
More confident after the running game, getting actual varsity playing time and seeing what it's like, and I felt more confident, especially on offense, with getting the ball, and I just tried to take every moment up that I wasn't playing to rest.
A lot of it for him is it's just trying to get to a point where he's comfortable enough and then consistent. His effort's really good, and what he's really done, which has helped the team, is he's been really coachable. So he didn't play last year because he was hurt. He was out the whole year. He stayed with the team, and helped in different roles, but he was out all last year. So, some of these kids at certain positions that have been playing since their sophomore year, and they played their junior year, by the time they're seniors, like, we've been able to coach them up for a couple of years, so they're not making the same mistakes where, Ethan was pretty raw at times running the ball, but each week you see him getting a little bit better. His ball security is great. He runs hard. His pad level's down. He's improved his understanding of, trying to hit holes or where the cutbacks are, and then he's improved in pass protection. And, right now he's starting for us at linebackers. Like, he's not coming off the field, and he's on all the special teams. So he's obviously has to have, next level conditioning to be able to handle those things. And he's tough, and he's just really coachable.
I feel good for him. Like, he's been putting in the work in the off season and recovering with his shoulder injury, and he's just making a statement on defense and offense now. So it's really good.
That kid really works really hard, and it makes me really happy seeing him out there. He improves every day, and he's just going to get better.
It kind of brings the team together in a way where we're all proud of the one guy, and we all support him. And, we know that, we wouldn't really want to be in this situation per se, but, that's what we're in, and this is our guy right now, and he's doing what he can do, and he's being tough, and he's, getting the job done. So we got to rally behind him and keep going.
Logan's 44.
I think our defense matched the task very well, creating turnovers and giving us more shots. So I think ultimately our defense was a savior in that game, creating turnovers for us to get, some extra shots at the end zone on offense. But I definitely think once we start getting some more guys back and, just having a little more depth on the offense, I think we'll be able to start moving on teams again like we have in the past.
play, he was making sacks, interrupting their passing plays. I thought it was insane. He did really good for just stepping in his first time playing in that position this year. He did really good.
Really just let him get some steam, but he had a great game. He had a crazy defensive game. So I think really he's a great player, obviously, and wherever we put him, he's going to flourish. He's going to be great either way.
Jacob, he's played linebacker in the past, and he was really good where he was. But as we kind of started to realize who our people were, we wanted to see if we can move him down, get another one of our best 11 people on the field. And so since we're so injury prone, when we moved him back, we knew we could count on him because he's been playing all these positions before. But he's just a fast player. He's just like one of those big splash play impact players. So being able to have the free range to fly all around the field and not being constricted just to the line is really big, and that's where he likes to be.
I mean, this all started, sophomore year, played linebacker the whole year. Last year was a switch between the two, DN and linebacker. This year, I really was set on, because we had a lot of linebackers, was set on playing DN, and then once the injuries rolled around, we were kind of lacking the linebacker spot. And Coach always had me in the back of his mind, but I was like, hey, Coach, I can get reps if you need me to. So starting probably 2 weeks ago, I was starting to get reps on linebacker. It wasn't looking at anything different. I wasn't looking at that star at linebacker. It was just me getting reps. And then by this week, we were down, and then he was like, okay, you got to play linebacker. So I went in, no nerves, just playing how I want to play, and I surprised myself with the outcome.
I was really impressed with him, and it's one of those things too where we're trying to get depth and find depth, and sometimes we don't have the next guy. So can guys play multiple positions, and can we start practicing it a few weeks in advance before we need it? So Jacob was able to get some linebacker reps, running with the second group last week, and then we didn't necessarily need him, and then this week we knew we needed him, so we got all the first group reps. The big thing on defense is just your effort and your motor, and he's flying around to the ball, so we know he's our best defensive end. But if you don't have linebackers at the second level, it's a problem. So I think what we were able to see is, if he's a defensive end, he may be able to take away a lot of runs to that side. He can do a lot as far as rushing the passer, but any plays away, it's harder at defensive end to chase any of those down or to get in the mix, where at linebacker, what he was able to do is make a ton of tackles pursuing the ball. I think it kind of freed him up a little bit. And then it's like anything else. Kids are sometimes a little weary about changing positions because it's not where they're comfortable. But now if you see how much success you have, do you start to buy into that? Do you start to become more comfortable? And ultimately they just want to be in a spot where they can help the team and succeed and have some success, So it was unbelievable. We had him at 13 tackles, and I told him that was the second most that we've had a player make in any given game since I've been here. We don't win the game if he doesn't have that kind of performance. So, it was really fun to see and watching film and trying to show these kids he's playing at a different speed. He really is.
Swazo to Chase to Cody Szymanski. Santa Swazo. Lennon's kick is blocked by the Bulldogs. It rolls into the end zone.
Really just, football at its most basic level. Like, you have to take care of the football, and if you're winning the turnover battle, you're going to give yourself a pretty good shot to win. And if you're playing a team that's really good and you win the turnover battle, like, it really closes the gap. So teams can hang around with better teams, maybe talent-wise, if they're creating turnovers and taking care of the ball at the same time. Like, the game can spiral out of control if you're constantly giving the ball away, which is what we saw during the Londonderry game. I think second half we didn't take care of the ball. So, it's just every series is new. Every quarter is a little bit different. When you get a lead, there's something's going to happen. There's going to be some adversity. We try to talk to the kids too. Can we get a lot of guys to the football on defense? Like, that's when good things are going to happen, whether it's a tip pass or it's a fumble, So even if they have a mistake, Bedford does, where the snap goes over the kid's head, or the ball goes on the ground. Like, do we have enough guys in the area to be able to get on the ball? And then just trying to emphasize too, like, we need to create some of those fumbles. Like, we have to knock the ball out.
There was some plays where it was read options, and I got tackled on a couple of those. I know that the fakes were huge for Matt, so I knew that if I was running the ball, he was most likely carrying out a fake to divert some attention. That might have been crucial for my first couple yards each run. And so on all the read options and stuff, I just knew that it could be going to me if they go after Matt.
Bulldog slant pass incomplete. That'll be a turnover and down.
based on how we've been practicing, we thought it was gonna be pretty bad. But overall, I was really like happy with how everyone stepped up and that we just kept fighting through as much adversity as we were facing.
Felt like we were in a rough spot, but coming out and being able to pull that off and win was huge. It was very telling of, even when we're in a low spot, kind of a rough patch, that we're still going to be able to pull through no matter what.
Bigger picture, it just shows that even with like that much people down, we're still there, and we're still give a good competition. So even with these guys coming back next week, it'll just make the standards even higher.
I mean, it brought their morale up a lot, beating a rival like Bedford. It wasn't shocking, but it really kind of showed how our team was down 4 or 5 starters and we can still come out and beat a top team.
Practicing in the beginning, it looked like it was going to be a rough week, and then as the practices went on, we realized how important this game was and the rest of our season based off of this game coming up. So the last practice I had, I thought everyone was focused, everyone had energy, and we were ready to go against Bedford, and obviously we were.
I think it was like that kind of a win is really important going into this next week against North. Like knowing that we can win, fighting through all that we have like affecting us right now, and being able to go through the whole game with it being so close and then still coming out on top. Like I feel like that's gonna be like the same going into this next week for this next game.
I think there's a lot to be said about it, right? And it's, you lose your first game and there's always going to be this feeling of overreaction. Because it's the first time that it's happened and the score wasn't as close as we would have liked, So trying to take it week by week and realize, we'll be able to correct some things on film and try to reset. Each week's new, but it was a potential letdown spot, where you come off a loss, you have a little hangover from that. And again, what I saw in practice last week was not ideal. It wasn't real promising as far as, seeing a great effort against Bedford. Luckily, the kids figured it out, and we did. But I try to tell them, too, like, our season just took a different trajectory here. It's like you're on a path. You lose to Londonderry. Well, like, is that going to be a snowball situation here where can you get up and beat Bedford, or do you lose to them? Do you turn around and have a tough week with North? Are you sitting there undefeated at 5-0, and then all of a sudden you're dropping a couple? So we try to talk with the health and the injury situation, like that bye for us could be pretty important. There's a pride thing here. There's some rivalry games, but like ultimately, can you win the conference? Can you ensure yourself that you're going to host some playoff games here at home, where we would obviously prefer to play? So to win that Bedford game, now this game's massive. If we beat North, we're putting ourselves in a really good spot, I think, to win the conference. And ultimately, that's what you want to do. So if we had lost to Bedford, it probably would have been really challenging to try to win the conference. So I think the morale's up, and the more games we can win, and sometimes in different ways, because you're going to see some crazy stuff in the playoffs. So you got to be able to win the close ones. You got to be able to score when you need to. You got to be able to play good defense. So hopefully there's just a lot of lessons to be learned there that the kids can apply later when it really matters.